time for another episode of the Missoula podcast. I don't know any better way to start than Nick. Can we get that music? Let's cue the music. How about those Grizzlies? Brawl of the Wild Saturday. Those poor little kiddies came in and got destroyed. 37-7, 30-point victory. Absolutely phenomenal. Proud of the Grizz, the team. The 2 seed going into the FCS playoffs. Home field advantage throughout. Just, wow, what a weekend for Montana Grizzly athletics. What a great time of year to be a Grizz fan. I don't know if there's a wrong time to be a Grizz fan, but yeah, hope the boys stay healthy, are ready to roll, and ready to make a huge run at the national championship and hopefully bring back another FCS title to Missoula, Montana. In terms of health and wellness, this week's guest on the Missoula podcast, Madison Small, the owner of Range Physical Therapy. Had a great conversation with her. Steven and I sat down with her and heard about their business. I love their tagline, expand your range and enhance your life. And as Steve and I get into this conversation with Maddie, I really heard about how she did expand her reach in business and has enhanced the life of herself and her team and her family. A really inspirational story. So thanks for tuning in. Here is Madison Small from Range Physical Therapy.
All right, Maddie, obviously, I'm starting now, I guess. First question. What is the mascot of Slippery Rock University?
It used to be a rock. And then they upgraded to Rocky, which is the pride of the rock, which is a lion.
Rocky, the pride of the rock. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
But
sense.
it's still in the library. They still have like the casing that's like a box of the original
like the rock.
That doesn't look like a rock.
So as you're finishing up at the University of Montana, you're like, I can't wait to be a rock.
No.
Is that what you were thinking?
No.
Okay, how did that happen?
Well, so here's the thing, and this is kind of where I'm hoping that people can get something out of this too. I didn't get into PT school my first year. So It was one of those things. I wanted to be a PT since middle school. And
how did that happen?
I wanted to do that.
Jordan story.
Yeah.
Got cut first year PT school. Look where she is today.
Just the uphill battle.
Because what middle schooler wants to be in PT?
I know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not judging.
No, it's weird now that I'm an adult. I'm like,
You're
I actually
originally from
knew.
Missoula, right?
Yes.
Where'd you go to middle school?
I did St. Joe's 1 year Loyola and then 3 years Sentinel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's where I wanted to be a PT since middle school. I grew 6 inches in a summer. That hurt really bad.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't really know what the turning point was. But that's where like I got through undergrad. I did the triathlon team my freshman year and I loved it. It was a club team, but I also knew that I needed to get like the grades and everything to get into school. So I really locked down. I studied a lot. And then I applied to PT school my first year and I applied to 4 schools and I didn't get in. And so the second year I was like, well, I should try and like broaden my scope. East Coast has a lot of PT schools compared to the West Coast. And so that's where it gets even more competitive on the West Coast, just because there's such few schools. And so that's where I ended up. Somebody I was working with went to Slippery Rock University.
Where is Slippery Rock University?
It's north of Pittsburgh. So it's in between Pittsburgh and Erie. And so he's like, you might as well try applying. And so he wrote me a letter of rec. And then I ended up going out there. I was like, I don't know where this place is, but I got in and here we go.
What did you think? Did you enjoy it?
I learned where I didn't want to live, which is good. I did a lot of exploring on the East Coast when I was there. So I did a clinical in Maine, Florida, and then I did my longer ones out west because I knew that I wanted to be back home. I just love the mountains too much, but at least I got to see the whole coast out there. I ended up doing one of my clinicals at the Huntsman Cancer Hospital in Salt Lake City. And so I've had this long-standing interest in oncology rehab. So that was really nice to do my 15-week clinical there. So I was in the ICU, the bone marrow, the general and surgical oncology units, and then got a lot of experience there. I got the job back in Missoula and then kind of moved back.
Crazy. What that year, did you have a year off in between
Yes.
Your
So
undergrad? What'd that year look like?
ended up retaking classes because
to
heaven
get better
forbid
grades?
you get a B.
Oh my word.
It's really competitive. That's the
Yeah.
thing, is like
Sounds like
physical
it.
therapy is a doctorate program. And I think that's also something that people don't understand how competitive it is, because you also have such small class sizes. And so I think one of the spots that I was applying to, it was like 750 applicants for 32 spots. And so, yeah, you're just,
Crazy.
yeah. So when
Those
you get in,
classes
you're in,
seem-
you're like, I'm going to Slippery Rock University.
They seem easy the second time through. I mean, was it like
No,
cake or was it
no,
work?
I got interviews that time, but it's kind of a big process. It's like a big financial commitment because everything costs a lot for the applications. But then at the same time, you're working on your essays. Everybody has a different prompt. There's kind of a generalized prompt, but each school has their own requirements. And then you're also kind of looking and seeing like how much of your undergrad prereq works towards certain schools. And so some schools you can't go to, or unless you want to take that class to then
Gotcha.
apply. So it's kind of a game and just figuring out where you want to go.
So do your clients, do you make them call you Dr. Maddie?
No,
Okay,
I
you
don't.
don't do that.
No.
Dr. Madison sounds more professional,
Yeah,
a little more
there-
intimidating.
Madison Marie. No, I don't know. The physical therapy field, I feel like there has to be a little bit of a turning point like in our profession. I think we're at a turning point of really making a move on being part of people's healthcare team.
Mhm.
And so like a doctorate level degree. And so that's where we have had the training so that we can look at low back pain and be like, is this a tumor or is this a musculoskeletal condition?
Makes sense.
And so that's kind of where there's a bunch of research right now that shows that if you use physical therapy as your first line of a healthcare provider, it actually is a cost saving event, because now you're not going to the doctor. There might not be a prescription. There might not be an image that's not needed. And then you're just going straight to physical therapy, where they're the movement specialists with a doctorate level degree to be able to take in your whole medical history and give you an exercise program that's based on that, or a movement program.
It is interesting. I'm hearing more
Yeah.
and more people talking about some back pain that they need to do physical therapy before they're going to chiropractor or their general doctor to get looked at.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's not everybody's insurance allows you to do direct access. And so I think that's also the important thing, is you can choose where you want to go for physical therapy, and you can also ask your doctor for a referral. And so going into that doctor's office and just saying, hey, like, I don't necessarily feel like I need the imaging. I don't need the medication. Can you just give me a referral to physical therapy? And you can choose wherever you want to go. And so that's something that I think in general, physical therapy is not so underutilized in that sense, just because we can do so much preventative care. We can do so much of like disease progression modification. We can do so much of, injury prevention. Like, it can be used in such a dynamic way that a lot of people think, oh, my back hurts or my ankle sprained. Like, let's go to physical therapy. And it's so much more than that.
Sure.
And so that's kind of, again, where a lot of times when I'm telling people that I do oncology rehab, and now I've gotten into neuro rehab because I got diagnosed with MS last year. And so that's where it's opened up this door that I have seen the need for it. And it's so much of that empowering moment where you're like, okay, you get this lifelong diagnosis. What do you do about it now? And it's like, well, now in physical therapy, you get to be that person that says like, hey, here's maybe the modifications we need to make to get you to be a little bit more functional, or to keep up with your family, or do the activities you want. So it's pretty special.
Sorry about the MS. We were just having a fun, casual conversation, and you just dropped that on us. I want to come back to the MS in a minute, but let's go back to, you finished school at Slippery Rock University, Go Lions, Pride of the Rock, College of north of Pittsburgh, and you come back to Montana. And did you start working in an office? Did you open your own office? Like, what was the start of?
No. So I worked at a clinic for about 3 years. And then that's where a local Missoulian came up and she's like, hey, I want to retire and I want to sell you my business. And so, again, kind of with that diagnosis, you're just like, well, I hate to be that person, but you're like, you never know what tomorrow brings. And so right now I have like my parents are both really hardworking, like business owners. My boyfriend's family is the same. I have as many like resources and contacts around me that I'm like, this is my time to be successful. I don't have kids right now. That's at some point you're kind of like, let's make the life that you want to live. And it's just, I love it. And I love where I'm at. And the person that I work with is awesome. His name is Colin Hutton. And we went to high school together, and it
Cool.
just feels like the
That's
perfect
awesome.
fit. Like everything has just come together.
So you
nicely.
bought and then rebranded, changed the name.
Yeah,
So you are now Range.
Now Range Physical Therapy and Wellness. Yep.
Awesome.
What's the biggest difference between just being a therapist and now you have to run this business? Like,
Yeah.
was that pretty steep learning curve
Well,
at first?
that's where I really wanted to find the perfect team. And there's a lot of good physical therapists out there. And so that's where for the longest time I was working, I for about the past year or so, I've been working full-time PT, full-time business owner, which has been a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
It's been really good, but like the nice thing is now I found the perfect fit for the clinic with Colin. And so now I've backed off to like part-time PT, and then I can do the full-time business owner. And so I don't want to ever lose.
So you're CEO, HR, marketing director,
Yeah.
PT, janitor. You're wearing all the hats right now.
I have, so a lot of my front desk staff are all pre-PT students. So that's really fun.
Cool.
And I feel like it's kind of my way to also give back to like the profession and also help to make good and positive experience for people who want to get into physical therapy school. And I think it's also good for them to learn the like pros and cons of the job. Like the insurance world, super challenging. It's a big barrier to like any healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice that they're getting experience with that, even if they don't see it that way now, where it's just like you see the obstacles that sometimes our profession has in the world of physical therapy. And so they help me out with a lot of things, and I'm lucky to have, I just have such a good team. They're all great.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, you must be good at hiring.
Well, thanks.
Skill set.
I'm picky. I know like I have such a vision on who and what I want the clinic to look like, and they all fill the mold. So,
and you said that your parents were business owners and 5th generation business owners. What were those businesses throughout the years, and are they still doing it here in Missoula?
Yeah. So we actually have a memory wall in the clinic that goes to my great grandpa of the 5th generation Missoula business owners. And so it's kind of, do you want me to talk through it? Okay.
Yeah.
We had
That's interesting.
Majestic Bottle Company, then it was Coca-Cola, then it was Four Seasons Motors with Subaru dealership. And then it went to all the things my dad does. And that's the thing is my dad is so humble and such a hard worker that my mom actually had to write down his little plaque on the wall because he has nothing to show for it, because he's just the guy who slides under the spotlight. And so he's done so many things. He has like commercial and residential like businesses, some property management stuff, some developmental stuff. He's all over the board and always being creative and
so being
working for his family.
being entrepreneurial was not something new to you. You were ready for that.
And that's the thing is like when we were going through this whole process of like, is this something you actually want to do? Because it's a big jump to just be like, I want to own my own business at the age of 29.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. But my dad was pinning me with questions. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? There's this, and this. And he's telling me all the negative things. I'm like, yes, I still want to do this. And he's like, okay, you're good. But I've also seen him doing all the hard work and working on the weekends. And so at least I have good support and mentorship for that.
You dive in, you have all that going, all the hats, and then you get diagnosed with MS. And I'm sure that created challenges both in operating a business as well as obviously physically and emotionally. What's that journey been like? So
December 12th, 2020, I woke up and I couldn't see out of my left eye. And that's where it was this kind of MS is an interesting thing because it's a time-based diagnosis. So you have that first initial symptom. And then that's where you have to wait or either have a certain test that retests and shows the disease progression. So it was the beginning of last year that I had a big flare, and I was going upstairs and I'm like, wow, I really worked out hard. I was like, I didn't work out yesterday, but that was like the leg fatigue. And I had tingling in my right leg. I had some tingling in this hand. Since I'm a physical therapist, I'm like, I kind of know what this is, looks like, acts like, and it's presenting more like that. And I also have a PT friend who I could bounce by ideas off of because it's hard to be aware but not hyper aware. So you're kind of like, are you seeing this and looking at this too? So by the time I got the diagnosis, I wasn't surprised because I had just kind of gone through, I think, the acceptance as I was feeling the symptoms. And so I opened the business in April, got diagnosed in May, technically. And so it was just a big growing year. It was a lot, but it also was a lot of good things where you're kind of looking at it and being like right now I can work as much or little in like either in the present or in the future that I need based on my symptoms. And also it kind of brought up this whole I guess like new insight into being a physical therapist. And I think now, like since I did oncology, there was a lot of that same movement principles, educational principles that you carry over, where it's like the fatigue management and energy conservation. And, I had always preached on it, but now I'm like, okay, now I understand it and I can relate to people a little bit better. And so that's where Colin, the physical therapist I work with, it's a perfect fit because that's where I feel like I have more of the experiential knowledge and he has a lot of that clinical knowledge. And so we actually co-treat a lot of patients together because now we've started to get a lot of neuro referrals, like outpatient neuro referrals. So that's been really positive. And I feel like in that sense, we're getting the best care for our patients.
And you alluded to it, some of the things that your business does, but what other things differentiate you guys in Missoula, maybe against other PT? I'm not saying, don't say anything bad about other PT, but what do you guys do well? And what's your lane that you're really serving our community with?
Well, it's so funny because it's like in my day, I will literally be treating a smoke jumper and then the next person comes in and they just got done with their chemo treatment. So like my spectrum is so broad where we're outpatient physical therapy. Like you see everything in every joint and every walk of life. And I love that part because I don't feel like I can do the same thing every day. I love we call it outdoor recreation rehab because Missoula has so many cool like athletes, and athletes are in their like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Like we have a lot of the like trail runners, the hikers, the bikers, the skiers, and so I think being able to find some of those people too and treat those athletes as well. I have a weight rack in the clinic. Like, we're movement specialists. That's where it's fun. We get to kind of bop around between like the physical therapy and wellness, which is why it's purposely named that, so that we can work on the wellness component, but then we can also work on like the physical component and kind of get people back to whatever they need to do in life or their outdoor activities. But I think at the end of the day, we are just working on like helping the community that we were raised in, because Colin is also a local Missoulian. And so I think that we bring in a lot of that community aspect.
Maddie, one thing I think you guys do well, and you just mentioned in your name, the life or the wellness piece, your logo is amazing.
Well, thank you.
I feel like there's like a cliche logo for the medical world and the banking industry and a lot of the same in industries for whatever reason. And I love just your guys' logo with
thank you,
the buffalo head. And I guess there's some hidden imagery in there.
Yep.
Tell us about your logo.
So it's more like you can kind of see it in the sticker. And we also have a topo map on our wall. So that topo map, it's right there. The topo map is Mount Sentinel. And then we have the bison head and then range. So we have range of motion, bison range and mountain range. So that's where I felt like it was the
bison's forehead letter
has
R.
the little
little R,
cursive R. Yeah, we had the vision, but then that's where we had this graphic designer come up with, we had all the principles of like, we want mounts included and we want a bison head, not a skull. And together we all kind of came up with this logo.
Awesome.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Let's jump into our rapid 5 questions.
Let's go.
Get
Maddie going. Are you ready?
Sure.
You don't look ready. Okay.
Well, you're born and raised here, Maddie. So we're going way, way back. What is one of your earliest memories of Missoula, Montana?
We need rapid answers. I don't know. I guess like now that I'm an adult, it sounds like you're the crusty, like old person that's like, I remember when, but you're like the development, right? Yeah. I remember when there was green space on like north of Reserve Street. You're just kind of.
That one comes up a lot.
That's so funny. Just last night, I was driving south on Reserve Street, And I happened to look over to where like the new Frugals is and Outback. And I remember in high school going to Outback, and we would park in the big grass field. But where Sportsman's is, but there was nothing between Outback and Perkins. It was just a big grass field. You just parked in the dirt, and like, that's funny.
I don't know. I think it's just now seeing like how far Missoula has grown, and I don't blame people for moving here.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
That's what I say all the time. Why would you want to live here?
Yeah.
What's your go-to coffee spot in Missoula?
My house. I know. I don't buy a lot of. I'm a saver.
Is that because you're cheap or because
it
you
is
don't
because
like
I'm
coffee?
cheap?
Okay.
No, I love coffee.
Drip coffee or
a little
pour
creamer.
Over? Okay.
Keurig or
no? We just have like the grinder. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Folgers.
No.
Okay.
Costco's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
How about restaurant? Favorite restaurant? You can't say my home.
I know.
Well, not my home, your home.
The restaurant.
I like going to eat at the Smith's house.
We go to Canby a lot because they are also right by my house, but then they just closed. So I'm so bummed about it. But they were also right next to the clinic. So I like to support. Yes, they did. I'm so sad about it.
The second location of Canby?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I know. We just had a celebration on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I'm friends with the owners, and I think it's going to be great, but I'm selfishly sad.
Yeah. Well, their first location seems to be doing just fine.
Yes. And that's by my house. So either way, I feel like
Let's buy your house. So what zip code do you live in, Maddie?
59901.
Yeah.
The OG.
Is that the... oh.
Yeah, we got our questions over there. We don't.
That's why we keep looking over. Our memories aren't so good.
We do this every week. And
every week we forget the questions. What's the weirdest thing about Missoula?
The people.
Is that not the answer every
episode?
That the
same? Yeah. Isn't it keep Missoula weird?
Exactly.
You probably see a bunch of weirdos coming into the clinic, which is awesome.
This is the funny thing. So this is where my job's awesome again, because I have made friends with or gotten to know people's lives that I'm like, I would never cross paths with you.
Yep.
And like, I enjoy that hour or the 40 minutes that I spend with them, and I'm just like,
Well, this podcast is the same way. The guests we've had on are people we never would have met.
No.
But I always find like, how do we define weird? Like, and I think I've come up with, if they're different than me, they're automatically weird. And then I realize I'm just part of that. Like, we're all just weird.
You're weird in somebody else's eye.
Exactly. I'm very weird.
That's
very weird. What do you love the most about Missoula?
I think the community. I mean, it's hard to beat that. And that's where I'm social enough that I enjoy going places and be like, hey, I know, Missoula's small enough, but big enough that you don't run into everybody, but you also run into people all the time.
Well, it's crazy. I don't think we've ever met.
I know.
And then you mentioned all these people we've had on that and like that I'm related. Casey Smith, my cousin.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm sure we will run into each other all the time downtown, see each other, just because that's how it goes in Missoula.
It is.
What's your favorite book or most impactful book that you've ever read, or one that you're reading right now? I'll make it super easy.
PT school ruined reading.
I bet it. I was going to say, a lot of people that had to study so much.
I am reading this like really helpful. It's called Radical Candor. And it's a self-help like business book that another like physical therapist business owner gave me or suggested for me, and it's been really helpful. But I'm the read one page and I fall asleep kind of person right now. So it happens.
New business, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And get it.
How often are you meeting with a patient and then you go out of the room and hop on WebMD real quick on your phone and try to diagnose them because you have no clue? This is a good question. The nice thing is it's less WebMD. It's literally turning over to my coworker and saying, what do you think about this? I have no clue.
And that's why I'm also excited to have Colin in there, is he comes with he's a new grad. And and he is so smart. And so he's normally the quick WebMD for me.
My brain just works differently. I don't know how many times I've been in the doctor, just they step out and come in and I'm just like,
you just Google.
They're going to be on Google and they're going to come in and say, hey, take a couple aspirin, give it 2 weeks. If it's not better, call me. Like,
go to your PT.
Yeah, go to your PT.
Yeah. Thank you. There we go. We learned something. Go to your PT.
This last year, you guys won Best of Missoula New Business.
Best new business. Yep. And then I got second for physical therapist. So
second. Yeah. Okay. So are you going for first place this year? Is that a big goal?
I'm hoping to get Colin in first place.
I see.
Maddie's had enough.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Any big plans for the next 5, 10, 15 years for the business? Are you guys looking to expand? Are you looking to grow?
That's a good question. I think it depends on how comfortable and happy everyone is. Because at the end of the day, you're just looking to support your staff. You're looking to support the patients. You're looking to support yourself. And so I think it depends on just where everyone falls on that spectrum. So we'll see. We'll take it as it comes. But I think ultimately, if we can keep improving the health and wellness of Missoula, I feel like we're doing good.
I really like that answer. I mean, you hear from a lot of entrepreneurs where they just want to, build this tower and make billions and it'd be huge. But to hear somebody say like, hey, my goal is just day at a time, simple, more meaningful life, making sure our team is taken care of. Like, it's really cool. I really admire that answer.
Yeah. Well, is there anything we missed? I mean, is there anything that you want our audience to know about what it would look like to work with you guys?
You've got to have like some sort of soapbox as a PT.
I always have soapbox.
Yeah, give us one of those. Wrap up with the soapbox.
Well, let's pick which one though. Let's see. I think at the end of the day, just being able to know that you can choose your own physical therapist, you can advocate for yourself. That's the challenging part of the healthcare system, and to find somebody to assist you along that way. Movement is medicine, and I think that that's so, in general, underutilized, and it's pretty powerful to just see how people transform when they're given the guidance, like the individual guidance from a physical therapist. Is that kind of?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Maddie, if people want to get a hold of Range, I mean, obviously they can Google it, but is there?
Yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have a website, rangeptmontana.com. Email. You can schedule online.
Awesome.
Do they have to have a referral to come see you?
Depends on the insurance. That's a great question.
So people can just hop online and schedule an appointment.
So here's what we have. We do complimentary benefit checks. And so if you call us, you just say, hey, here's my insurance information. If you send us your insurance card, we can call, we can do our research on it and just see to make sure that we're checking all the balances.
Cool.
And kind of working with people to make sure that they're getting the healthcare. Yeah.
Well, congratulations
on
the new business and
Thanks.
overcoming so much. We're really glad you're here in Missoula.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.